Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Hello there and a very warm welcome to this week's Racing Post football postcast. It's international break. There's all sorts going on. We're going to have a little look at the major leagues as well. But thanks for joining us. We've got James Milton, Dan Childs from the Racing Post in the studio here, and Jason Murphy as well from our friends at Paddy Power on the line. Right, let's kick off then. We're going to take stock, as it were, the Premier League so far. Gents, Premier League, we've got three sides at the top. Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, all on 20 points. Is it already a three-horse race?
I think it's probably a two-horse race, actually. You know, the top five, only 2 points between them. Let's not forget Tottenham and Arsenal as well in there. But, you know, the bookmakers still have that big gulf between favourites Man City, Liverpool, and then I think Chelsea around 9-1, and then Tottenham and Arsenal much bigger prices than that. Not even mentioning Manchester United after their start to the season. I think it is going to come down to the top two in the betting. Been really impressed by how quickly Chelsea have come out of the blocks, obviously under a new manager and a few new players in there as well. But you know, City and Liverpool still set the standard for me. And City, I would say, having, you know, even though they missed that great chance for a victory at Anfield, missing the penalty, you know, they've got Kevin De Bruyne to come back, absolutely outstanding last season, superb World Cup. That's a huge factor, I think, and I can see why bookmakers still have them favourites over Liverpool.
I can't see beyond Man City. I know we've got three tied at the top, but different class. How do Paddy Power see it at the moment after 8 games then, Jason?
Yeah, so the market really has Man City at favs 4-6, and rightly so, I think. Liverpool were slightly bigger than the market at 5-2. I think they've been drifting in performances the last couple of weeks, and we're slightly ducking Chelsea there. We're 15-2, about 8-1 is the market average on them. I think Chelsea have started very well with Sarri there as coach, and I think if they can stay with Man City and Liverpool until after Christmas. Sarri, when he was going for the league with Napoli, basically chucked in the Europa League and just concentrated on the Serie A run. And that's one advantage Chelsea could have, given they have got a smaller squad and very reliant on Hazard. But if they're there or thereabouts after January, there's no reason wwhy Chelsea can't be involved in this race either. Jason,
I'm going to put you on the spot. What price were Chelsea at the start of the season? We're only 8 games in and you're telling me that they're 15-2 and you're ducking them. A big price, I'm sure? Yeah,
off the top of my head, I'm going to say maybe about 14s. So they have shortened quite a bit. Like I said, they've started a lot better than we expected. Sarri seemed to, with Jorginho coming from Napoli, he seemed to got his game plan going quite well. And like I said, any team with Hazard in is going to have a chance in any match, really.
Dan, what are your thoughts? 4-6, you want to steam in?
Yeah, I agree with Jason, actually. I think that Chelsea could be the challengers to Man City. I strongly fancy Man City to win the title. I mean, you're watching their game against Liverpool. The way the game went, after 20 minutes, Liverpool basically played 100 mile an hour, tried to put them under as much pressure as possible. As soon as they got through that period, they really controlled the game, I thought, Man City, and looked even though it was a 0-0 draw, I just thought they looked a class above Liverpool on their own patch, and that's without De Bruyne, you know, being involved. So it just reinforced to me that I think Man City are on another level to Liverpool, and you look at the two Chelsea games, particularly maybe the League Cup game when both teams made a few changes and Chelsea have gone to Liverpool and won. Maybe that gives you an idea that Liverpool's squad depth isn't as great as everybody's saying. And you know, I look at their performance, not just the result at Napoli, but they didn't play that well against Napoli as well. I'm starting to wonder whether Liverpool is as good a side as the markets are suggesting they are. And I think Chelsea could be the runners-up in this league.
We've got Arsenal and Spurs 2 points behind. James, being an Arsenal fan, are you happy with how things have gone? Because they were very much, you know, out the frame in many people's eyes at the start of the season, Arsenal, but ticking along nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of as a fan, I've enjoyed the rarity of seeing Arsenal play not very well and string all these wins together. And then obviously at Fulham, it was a more complete performance, and you saw the quality of Lacazette and Aubameyang up front. Having said that, I think Fulham probably the ideal opponents for Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal were able to get the fullbacks right up the pitch, and you know, they weren't too worried about conceding against Fulham because I think they knew they were going to score a hatful. The fixture list has been very kind, but you know, it just shows, you know, you can't be too knee-jerk about this. 2 games into the season, you know, they'd lost to City and Chelsea, and now they've won 9 in a row in all competitions. Having said that, you know, some of the defending has been appalling. They've got away with it a little bit, and yeah, you're kind of I think Liverpool's probably the next big test. And you still go into that game with a slight sense of dread, I think, as a Gunners fan.
So go on then, James. Give me your top 4 end of the season. Who are they going to be?
I think probably in betting order. So City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and then I think Arsenal could sneak it purely because Tottenham. You know, the injury to Eriksen's obviously a major concern for them, and yeah, I think Arsenal could just nick 4th ahead of Tottenham, but not with any great degree of confidence.
Do you agree with that, Dan?
I think Eriksen will be key. I mean, it depends on what reports you read this week. Harida, the Denmark manager, was saying, you know, talking about a chronic stomach injury, and then now Eriksen's agent is saying that there's nothing too badly wrong with him and that he could be back even possibly after the international break. But it is important because he is.
Believe the agent.
Well, yeah, but he is. You could argue he's a bigger player for Spurs than even Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane. Everyone's asking on Match of the Day, saying that why was he dropping into that number 10 position? Well, it's quite simply because without Dele Alli and Christian Eriksen, there was no creator in there, so he's had to sacrifice himself to be the creator, Harry Kane, and did the job reasonably well. But now I think Spurs, if you can keep Eriksen fit for the rest of the season, I would fancy Spurs to take the 4th spot, but I wouldn't rule out Arsenal. You know, since got a lot of goals in the side, you know, Aubameyang and Lacazette, you know, scoring lots of goals. They do look a bit better balanced since Torreira's come into the side as well. And that Fulham performance, before they were kind of getting results and without playing that great, that was the first time I thought they looked at a very good side. So I certainly wouldn't discount them.
Jason, I'm sure Paddy Power have got betting on a top 4 finish. Arsenal, Spurs, how competitive is the betting between those two?
Yeah, so if you jump straight to them, you have Tottenham there. We're currently 8-13, and we've Arsenal 13-8 with Man United 3-1. You know, where there's life, there's hope. So hopefully United can turn it around. But personally, I think Arsenal, just echoing exactly what the boys have said, Fulham was the perfect match for them last week. Lucas Torreira, coming from Sampdoria, Uruguayan international, he's only 22, but I think he's made a massive difference as well. The Totally Football Show called out an interesting stat there on Monday that Arsenal, the last time they won 9 games in a row was 3 years ago. So it's not like there's anything massive has changed here. Like, you know, it's typical Arsenal have started well, okay, this season. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to maintain it going forward. It's still big changes there, so we'll see what happens. But personally, I think if Eriksen is fit and Harry Kane has his shooting boots on again, I think Tottenham will get that 4th spot.
Same old Arsenal, the old flat track bullies, easy fixtures. Right, the other end of the table, Jason, quite a few teams have looked poor, in truth, so far this season. We're only 8 games in. How's your relegation betting shaping up?
Yeah, so we've Cardiff there at 1-5, Huddersfield 1-3. So really writing off those 2. And then next up we have we are ducking Newcastle. We have Newcastle there at 7-4. They've been on a really bad run of form. Burnley 15-8, Fulham 2-1, Southampton 4-1, Brighton 6-1, Palace 7-1, and then West Ham will be there at 10s. But I think anyone from West Ham up, I think, will be safe enough. Dan. Cardiff are 5 on to be relegated, but Paddy Power also offering 11-10 to finish bottom, which, yeah, tell me if I'm going mad, it seems massive.
Yeah, no, the second price is, the 11-10 does look tempting. I don't think Huddersfield are complete certainties as well to go down. They have played against Spurs, played against Manchester City, played against Chelsea. They've had quite a tough start to the season, Huddersfield. And some of the other games, thinking of the game where they've gone to Everton, got a 1-1 draw, deserved the draw really. The game at Burnley as well, they drew 1-1 and won the shot count 19-6 away at Burnley. So I'm starting to look at Huddersfield and thinking, there's 8 games in, a lot of them have been tough games. Should we really, maybe it's a bit too early to completely write them off, and that brings in that 11-10 even more. If you think Cardiff are out on a limb as a poor side, then that's a good bet. I would also suggest, back to touching on Burnley there, I know they've had a couple of wins, but I still think they're going to struggle this season. You look at the Cardiff game; they were battered by Cardiff. I know they nicked the game 2-1, but they lost the shot count 20-3 at Cardiff. They lost the shot count at home to Huddersfield, as I mentioned, 19-6. They're still not that far away from the drop zone, and their run of games now. They've got Man City away, Chelsea at home, West Ham away, and Leicester away. I don't see many points coming from those games for Burnley, and I think they could be right in trouble after that spell.
And what price were they again, Jason, to be relegated, Burnley?
Yeah, we've Burnley there at 15-8.
15-8. Do you like the sound of that, Mills?
Not massively. I mean, I think they could be in deep trouble, but I think the markets are well on to Burnley there, and they're not giving too much away. I mean, you know, you think considering whether their finishing position was last season, and that I think they've taken 7 points from their last 3 games, but obviously the markets are now looking deeper than just the bare results, and the performances do look quite ominous. Cardiff and Huddersfield, just that lack of goals, and Dan's mentioned that Huddersfield are creating chances, but I think they've scored 7 goals in their last 18 Premier League games. Kind of the goals dried up so much at the end of last season, and they haven't quite found that cutting edge this season. So that's the problem for them. The other ones I'd mention are Southampton, actually, who, you know, stayed up very narrowly last season. And you just look at them, you don't really see a great deal of improvement. I mean, they've lost their last 3 games, you know, tough games, Liverpool, Wolves, Chelsea. They lost those kind of 8-0 on aggregate. But it's these home fixtures. They've had Burnley, Brighton and Leicester at home. And they've taken 2 points from those 3 games. You just think, you know, they've not really picked up at all from where they were last season, when they were, you know, a bit lucky that there were 3 worst teams in the division. It might be the same case this season. I think some pretty ordinary teams are going to stay up, but yeah, they're certainly ones to consider, I think, at the prices.
4-1, Southampton, 4-1.
They won 4 matches in the calendar year so far, Southampton. You know, that's that their poor form has gone on for quite a long time. They've not really improved since Hughes has gone in there.
4-1 there for the Saints to go down. Right, we will whiz round Europe as well. Quick word on the Championship. It's very tight at the top. Sheffield United 25 points, leading the way. West Brom 1 point behind. Leeds a point behind those. Middlesbrough a point behind those. Jason, West Brom heading the bet in?
Yeah, just unbelievable firepower up top for them. So we're there at 2-1 on West Brom. Sheffield United have shortened in recent weeks. We're currently 13-2. Top price on Middlesbrough 6-1. Top price top price on Leeds 13-2. Brentford there at 7-1, but I say that might drift after Dean Smith going to Aston Villa. Forest then 16-1. Stokes 20-1.
And is there a big loser, any liability in the book there? I mean, West Brom looked pretty short to me there. Is there anything to do with liabilities?
No, it's just we really think going forward they're just top class. Dwight Gale will score goals at that level. Jay Rodriguez will as well. Leeds are probably the biggest liability. They're quite popular there at the start of the season. Stoke as well, as seen as the best team coming down from the Premiership, would have taken a bit of money at the start of the season too. But no, we'd be quite happy for West Brom to stay doing what they're doing.
Dan, what do we think?
I think Leeds look a really good bet to me. They're only a point behind, 2 points off the top, a point behind West Brom. I've watched quite a few of the games this season. They're dominating games. I mean, the Bielsa, with very much a similar group of players, actually, not brought that many players in, but they look a totally different team. High press, they're some lovely football they're playing, and they're doing it. What's impressing me, they've got quite a few key players injured at the moment as well. You've got Pablo Hernandez, who's been a big player for a long time, has been out. Kamar Roof's been out. Bamford, I think, is out long term. But Roof and Hernandez could be back quite soon, and that'll add to their creativity and their goals. And if they go out and get a striker as well in January, I think they could have a real good chance because they're playing better football than West Brom. West Brom have got the strikers, but they're actually playing quite open and giving up a lot of chances. Leeds look more complete team, just need a striker.
Wide open, Milts, for you?
Yeah, I think it is very competitive, and obviously Villa changing their manager is an interesting one. I think they're about 15-8, top 6. You look at their forward players and they've got so much talent there, but they just can't keep a clean sheet. So whether Dean Smith will get that balance sorted quickly. The others I was interested by, actually, Swansea to finish in the top 6 at I think there's about a 7-1 around. They got beaten by Ipswich last time out, which is a pretty dismal result given Ipswich's poor start. But before then, they looked really solid at the back. They've won at Sheffield United, who are top, drawn with Leeds, drawn with Middlesbrough, drawn with Forest. And you know, there are question marks over them, kind of squad depth and whatever. But Graham Potter's certainly made an impact there. And you know, if you wanted a bigger price to crash the top 6 party, Swansea could be it. 7-1,
the Swans. Right then, let's whiz around Europe before we get stuck into the international action. La Liga. Let's start with 8 games in and a surprise fate at the top of the table, lads. Sevilla. What do we think, Dan?
I think, I mean, they've had a very good start, score a lot of goals, didn't they? And that home form often underpins it. They've also started quite well away from home, had 3 wins out of 4 away from home. But I just question whether they can keep that going. I mean, you look through that the last few years and away from home, they've not had the consistency. They lost 11 away games last season. Now, you'd need a massive improvement on that over the course of the season if you're going to put the kind of points tally together that's going to, you know, put them above over 38 games, Barcelona, Real Madrid. I just think Barcelona, they've had a bit of a wobble recently, but you watch them again at Wembley with Messi at his best, and they are just such a good side. I can't see this wobble lasting much longer. If Messi stays fit, the 4-6 Barcelona. I think Real Madrid, there's real question marks over them. Ronaldo's gone, Isco's got his injury problems at the moment. I think they've really dropped off. So Barcelona for me.
Yep, Dan likes the 4-6 if the GOAT stays fit. Jason, do you want to give us a quick show on the outright honours in La Liga?
Yeah, so we're top price Barcelona 4-6, Real Madrid 12-5, 5-1 on Atletico, and we were 50s on Sevilla there as well. Yeah, Barcelona, I think just defensively they've been a bit open this season. Noticed that when they played PSV in the Champions League, they won that game 4-0, but they were only 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go, and PSV had a rake of chances on the break. Real Madrid, new manager Lopetegui coming in, and it started really well for them. They bet Roma 3-0 in the Champions League and were playing some lovely football, but they haven't scored in 4 games, and word is that he's under serious pressure there now. Del Clasico is coming up, I think, in 2 weeks' time, and if Madrid get bet in that, I won't be surprised to see a change of manager there. Got on Atletico at the start of the season at 12-1, quite happy with that bet. They had a very sluggish start, but La Liga in general seems to be a lot more competitive this season. They did make a change with the TV rights money, and it's more evenly distributed between the clubs as well, which probably helped. But Sevilla, Andrea Silva is doing very well, just didn't get a chance at AC Milan. And good manager there that brought in, it's the manager from Girona last season, Pablo Manchin. Like in Girona's first season in La Liga, got them to 10th place, only 7 points off a European spot. So Sevilla with a good manager, some good signings, could have a run at this, but I still think the winner's going to come out of the top 3, and hopefully it's Atletico.
And as a firm, you've taken a stance being top price Barca, 4-6?
At the moment, yeah, we're happy to take them on at 4-6 there. Just Atletico, like again, if they're there or thereabouts after Christmas, they're a really dogged team, and Real, it's hard to know what's going there. Ronaldo didn't start last season very well for Real, so I don't get the argument that, you know, it's Ronaldo's loss of goals, because he had a very poor record there before Christmas. So yeah, no, be happy enough to take on Barca at that price.
Milts, just quickly, 4-6, want to steam in?
Yeah, I think Barca set the standard. I mean, you know, we saw their performance against Tottenham at Wembley, and for Real, not only losing Ronaldo, but with a new coach as well. I just think it's a difficult season for them. So yeah, I wouldn't be averse to a chunk on Barca at 4-6.
Nice. Right, Barca odds on. Jason, I'm sure Juventus are odds on as well. 8 from 8 so far, absolutely flying.
Yeah, absolutely. That league is nearly done and dusted as it is. They bet Napoli there at home just a couple of weeks ago, which is a shame. Like, you know, you'd like to see competitive leagues, which is great for Spain and even Scotland as well, and even looking at Germany. But currently at the betting that we have at the moment, Juventus are well odds on there. We're 1-7, Napoli 6-1, Inter 16-1, Roma 40s, AC Milan 66, Lazio 100s, and whatever you want on the rest.
Anyone got anything to add other than Juve weighed in?
I mean, Napoli have actually started well. They've won 6 of 8. Obviously, that defeat to Juve and lost at Sampdoria as well, and beat Liverpool impressively in the Champions League, albeit with a late goal, but well deserved. So yeah, it's just a sign of Juventus's power that you know, even after that start, Napoli already look up against it.
Yeah, I think it's just the points total that Juventus are capable of putting on these days. Up into towards the 90s. If you lose 2 of your first 8 games, even though it's it's quite a lot of points you've got, it's a 6-point gap already. In the context of that league, I think that's huge, and I agree. I can't see Juventus letting it go.
Okay, let's move on to Germany then, Bundesliga, and Dortmund 3 points clear. Bayern Munich struggling a little bit. Give us a show there then, please, Jason.
Yeah, so currently Bayern Munich still favs. We have them there at 2-9. Borussia Dortmund 5-2. Leipzig's 40-1. Leverkusen 100-1, and whatever then on the rest.
2-9, Munich. 2-9. Very short.
They are short, but they're still only 4 points behind Dortmund, who've made a blistering start, 23 goals in 7 games, and under Lucien Favre, they're kind of earning comparisons with the great Jurgen Klopp side, just in terms of the intensity with which they've been playing. You'd suspect that Bayern could overhaul them in the end. I mean, Dortmund's such a young squad, and
I wouldn't want to be suspecting at 2-9.
Well, no, I'm not advising getting involved at that price, but that again, kind of Dortmund 5-2. Not giving you too much away there, given that they are relatively unproven in recent seasons post Klopp.
Dan, anything to add there?
Yeah, at the 2, I'd be back in Dortmund. I just think that there's a fair bit of evidence there that Bayern are not the team they were last season. A few of their players are getting the wrong side of 30 now. Big players. No winning 4, lost 3-0 at home to Borussia Mönchengladbach last time. I noticed in the Champions League when they drew with Ajax as well. I had a look at the match stats, and you're thinking, "God, that's a surprise result." A 1-1 at home to Ajax, and the Ajax looked like they had a very even share of the game as well, very even on the shot count. And you start to think, or Ajax suddenly got that good, or Bayern actually not quite the team that they were. And you add to that Dortmund, as has been mentioned, are looking so good. I mean, their goal difference is plus 15, Bayern's is plus 4. That's quite a big difference at this stage. I just think I'd be giving Dortmund a decent chance.
Okay, the final leg on our European tour, we go to France. PSG, 100% record. A team I wouldn't mind watching every week. Plus 32 goal difference after 9 games. I'm assuming very, very short, Jason.
Yeah, it's 1 to 100 there. PSG, Marseille 33s, Lyon 50s, Saint Etienne 80. Lille, who've actually started probably the best out of the rest, 66s, but it's a done and dusted league as well. So PSG, it'll be all about the Champions League for them this year. Thomas Tuchel, his first season in there, he still has that incredible front 3. Buffon did come in as a signing as well, but he is rotating his goalkeeper still at the moment. But yeah, PSG, it's all about the Champions League. I think the league is done and dusted.
Interesting that they might be able to sort of take the foot off the pedal domestically and have a real go at the Champions League. Could they be runners, Dan, for you? For
the Champions League, yeah, absolutely. I think I mentioned them as one of the main contenders at the start, simply because of the forward players that they've got. You'd struggle to think of a team in the Champions League with better forward players, and I mean just in the French league, I mean an 8-point lead at this stage, a little bit like the same as Juventus in Italy. It's just it's huge because you can't see them dropping too many points. You need a club to get above 90 points to just give them any kind of a run for their money. And the last thing to do that was Monaco in 2016-17. This year they're third from bottom. So I really can't see anyone. They could probably put their almost a reserve side out, for much of the rest of the season and still win it.
Anything to add, Milks?
Yeah, I mean PSG, that 9th win in a row was 5-0 against Lyon, who Lyon and Marseille we saw in the Europa League last season, a decent size themselves, but yeah, they're just getting blown away by PSG's attacking quality. I think the question is, I've mentioned it before on the pod, whether this actually helps Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League or not. I mean, obviously they can rest their players and rotate and whatever in the league because it's done and dusted, but they still, as that opening trip to Anfield showed, they still struggle when they do come up against top quality sides because they're just not used to it, are they, in Ligue 1?
What firepower there. What price are they for the Champions League, Jason? You got that to hand?
So yeah, Champions League outright betting in general then. So Man City and Barcelona, we've joined favs there at 5-1. Juventus 13-2. PSG 8-1. They had drifted after the defeat to Liverpool, but with the result, Liverpool's result against Napoli, PSG have shortened. It's interesting to see who's going to come out of that group. Bayern Munich there at 9-1, Liverpool 9-1, Real 9-1, Atletico 10-1, United at 40s, Dortmund at 50s, Napoli at 50s, and Inter at 50s as well.
So 8-1 PSG. Right, we've got lots more action to come. The action coming up over the next couple of days, so do stay with us.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Well, welcome along to the Racing Post Football Postcast. We've got lots going on the international scene, Nations League and friendlies as well coming up over the next couple of days. We will whiz through them. Got James Milton and Dan Childs from the Racing Post in the studio with me, and our friends at Paddy Power, Jason Murphy on the line as well. Right, Jason, Thursday, Nations League, Israel, Scotland. Give us a quick show, 90 minutes betting for that one.
Yeah, so Israel 2-1, draw 2-1, and Scotland Fabs at 6-4.
Anything catch the eye there?
For me, Israel's home record is shocking. They've lost their last 4 home games, and their last home win was in March 2017, rather embarrassingly against Israel under-21s. So they really have a shocking home record. They've only won 1 their last 10, whereas Scotland have bet Albania. They've scored 9 of their last 12 away games, Scotland 2. So I'd be happy to back Scotland for the win here at 6-4. Just to say with Israel though, they do have De Boer in the team. He plays with Salzburg, scored 2 against Celtic last week, and he also, was a big part of Salzburg getting to the Europa League semi-final last season. So he is one to watch if Israel do get a goal. He's 11-4 any time in places, but I'd be happy with the Scotland win at 6-4.
James, best bet for this Group C1 clash?
I like the look of Scotland in this, yeah. As Jason mentioned, Israel struggling, lost 7 of their last 8 internationals, and Scotland have got a bit of attacking verve about them these days. Could have Andy Robertson and James Forrest down the
front.
Well, they've got. I think James Forrest could be playing right wing back. He scored four goals in the first half for Celtic the other day. So yeah, I think Scotland are a decent price at 6-4.
No disrespect to any of our Scottish viewers or listeners out there. Best bet for this one, Dan?
Draw 2-1. I can't really see much attacking threat coming from either team. Stephen Naismith is the top scorer in Scotland, scored with 8 goals. I mean that, really that speaks for itself. Before they beat Albania 2-0, they scored 1 goal in 6 internationals at Scotland. So I don't really see that there's a great deal of attacking threat. Certainly in the areas right at the top end of the pitch. They might have a couple of good wing backs there, but you need goals at the top end of the pitch. And Israel, they are quite good at keeping things tight. Their last 5 games. Lost to Italy 1-0, lost to Macedonia 1-0, beat Liechtenstein 1-0. Okay, it's Liechtenstein. Lost to Spain 1-0. So they've lost, narrowly to some good sides. Lost 1-0 to Albania. So they're not scoring many goals. Israel not conceding many. They've got De Boer, as has been mentioned up front, who's a threat. But not much of a goal threat either side. So draw for me. Okay,
right. Moving on. Also on Thursday, a very interesting friendly. Wales without Gareth Bale are taking on Spain, Jason. Give us a show there and your view on that one.
Yeah, Wales 8-1, draw 10-3, and Spain 1-3. Look, interestingly, this game has been played at the Millennium Stadium as opposed to Cardiff's home ground, which I think might suit Spain better. Spain obviously have the class, destroyed Croatia 6-0 last time out. And I don't think they'll treat it as a friendly. The new manager, Luis Enrique, coming in there, players with points to prove also. So I think Spain are going to win this game. Wales, though, haven't said that. They're missing Gareth Bale, but they have some players in form coming in here. David Brooks has scored the first goal in his last 2 games for Bournemouth. Burnley, you have Sam Vokes there, has scored in his last 2 games as well. Aaron Ramsey scored last weekend. So I think Piqué's retired from Spain. I don't think Spain defensively are quite settled yet. So I fancy Wales, one of their players in form, to get a goal, but Spain to win the match overall. So Spain and both teams to score. As a first goal scorer bet, I quite like Saul Niguez. He's too big there at 14-1 with 1 firm. He scored in his last 2 games for Spain, scored in the UEFA Super Cup final against Real Madrid. He's a really, really quality player from Atletico Madrid. But I'd have a look at him at 14-1 for first goal scorer as well.
What do you think, Milts?
I'm going for a regulation 2-0 Spain win here. I think, as Jason mentioned, Spain's players have to take it seriously because there's so much competition for places there. So I wouldn't expect a kind of display with a handbrake on from Spain. And Wales without Bale, is a huge loss for them. Obviously, they're hoping that he's going to be fit for the important fixture of this break, which is against Ireland in the Nations League. But yeah, 2-0 Spain.
No bout, no party. What do we think, Dan?
Spain, half-time, full-time at evens looks a solid bet to me. They do tend to focus, on these friendlies. They're unbeaten in the last 10 friendlies. Those include 2-0 away wins against Belgium and France and a 6-1 home win against Argentina. So some great victories there in friendlies against big teams. I just think that Bale being out for Wales, that really takes any chance they had away. And as has been mentioned, the change of venue, going to a bigger stadium, probably suits Spain more than Wales.
In what way?
I just think if you're playing at a tighter stadium, fans a little bit closer to the pitch, I think that there's just a chance. And I'm not saying Spain will be unsettled, but it might help Wales to players to get going a little bit more and cause them a few problems. But just think the bigger stadiums tend to suit the bigger teams.
Marvellous. Right, let's move on to Friday's action. Then we've got Group A4, which features England, who are in Croatia, behind closed doors. How do we price this one up, Jason? What do you think?
Yeah, Croatia 13-8 to draw 21-10, and England 15-8. It's not the Croatian team that got to the World Cup semi-final. Subasic, the keeper, is retired. They're missing Mandzukic, their big man up front. Lovren only got his first start at the weekend for Liverpool as well, and Modric as well has been eased back in at Madrid. I don't think he's 100% either. And like you said, it's behind closed doors, so it's not really a homecoming game for Croatia either, and I think that's reflected in the prices. They still have that very good midfield five though, if you take in Rakitic, Kovacic, doing very well at Chelsea, Perisic and Brozovic as well at Inter. Croatia are unbeaten at home in 11 games as well, and England have only lost 3 of their last 15 away games. So putting all that into consideration, I'd take the draw there at 21-10. If you're looking for a first goal scorer bet, Rashford scored in the last 2 games for England. Harry Kane will play, and he does take up a right proportion of the goals, and he is probably still a bet himself at 7-2, but I think Rashford at 7-1 is worth a bet.
And just quickly, Jason, what price? How would you have priced this game up if it wasn't being played behind closed doors?
For me, I think Croatia are probably going to be evens, or maybe even slightly odds on. I just think they're far superior to England.
Big difference.
I think it showed in the World Cup. England, got ahead early through Trippier, but I think the longer the game went on, it was just Croatia were just going to win it. And Croatia as well in that World Cup semi-final were coming off the back of 2 very tough extra times, whereas England were able to beat Sweden and kind of take it easy the last half hour. So I just think Croatia have the better players. But obviously behind closed doors and for other factors listed, I think the draw is the bet.
How will our boys get on, Dan? What do we think?
I think draw again is the bet here, 21-10. I think Croatia got a better midfield. Modric, Rakitic, Brozovic is actually injured, so that's a little bit of a weaker point for them. But I think up front, with Mandzukic retired, obviously Subasic in goal as well is retired, so there's a little bit of a weakness there. And I think Perisic, they're relying a lot now for their goal threat. I'm looking through the rest of the side. They've got Kramaric, they've got Rebic, but Perisic is the main man there for the goal threat. I think England's forward line is a little bit superior actually, with Sterling coming back in. He missed the last international break. Harry Kane looking fitter than he was earlier in the season. So I think England better in the attacking positions, Croatia better midfield. You throw that all together and I'd say it's a very even game. Obviously very little home advantage with it being behind closed doors. Throw that in as well, and it's an even game, and I will go with the draw.
What do you think, Milts?
Yeah, I'm another vote for the draw, I'm afraid. I just think, there probably isn't that much between the sides overall, as Dan's mentioned. I mean, that Croatian midfield is terrific.
We're really happy with that. A draw about Croatia. I know it's behind closed doors, but...
Yeah, and I think Croatia as well, after getting absolutely drubbed by Spain as well, I think they won't be going too gung-ho either. So, the way Croatia kind of regained control of that World Cup semi-final in midfield was really impressive. But having reached the World Cup final, I mean, it's all this Nations League is a bit of a come down, isn't it? So I don't expect too much of a thriller here.
Not a big fan of the Nations League, then.
It's all right, but
it's all right. Right, also
just
go on,
a
Dan.
quick thing, just a caution for drawbackers, just to give a slight counter argument is if the managers are looking at it and thinking, oh, we need to qualify for the next stage, probably the only chance to have any chance of finishing above Spain is for both teams to push for the win. So just throw that out there as well. That if you are going to go partly into the draw, just remember that both teams really could do with 3 points if they're going to have a chance of getting to the next stage.
So early on, try and gauge the mentality?
Yeah. I mean, my view is
goals.
that I think both teams will look at it and think a draw is a good result in the context of, moving forward. But if you're looking just purely at qualifying for the finals, both teams would need to win. But I'm not so sure that that'll be their mentality. But it's possible.
Some of the England players
playing
chess at the moment, which is interesting preparation for that. But anyway, right. Also on Friday, Austria versus Northern Ireland. Jason, and give us a show for that one.
Austria 1-2, draw 3-1, and Northern Ireland 6-1.
Any juice anywhere there, Jason?
Austria were a disappointing campaign. They're in with the Republic of Ireland in the World Cup qualifying campaign last time out. But since then, they've had some decent results. In the last 12 months, they've beaten Serbia, Uruguay, Slovenia, Russia, Germany and Sweden. And they did lose to Bosnia last time out, but they did have the better of the game. We've seen Arnautovic, the form he's in for West Ham, playing through the middle. Northern Ireland, Lafferty is out. He's just withdrawn himself. He's got 20 goals and 68 caps for them. But they do still have goals in that Northern Ireland team with McGuinness, Grigg, Liam Boyce. But they're always low-scoring matches, Northern Ireland. 15 of their last 17 games, only one team or no team has scored, and under 2.5 goals is clicked in 12 out of those 17 games. So I'm looking at a low-scoring game. I think Austria are the better team, so I'll be looking at Austria to win 0. Arnautovic, 18 goals in 72 games, not a bad record, but there is Marcel Sabitzer. He plays for Leipzig on the right wing. He got 2 goals at the weekend and he's got 3 goals for Austria already. So if you're looking for a bit bigger value there, he's there at maybe 6-1 for the first goal. But I think Austria to win 0.
He is carrying a knee injury, I think, on Arnautovic. So it'd be interesting to see if he takes part, how much he takes part. But do you agree with that, Dan?
Yeah, I just think there's a big class gap here, actually, looking at the two squads. I know that Northern Ireland often get better out of their, O'Neill gets better out of his players than you'd expect. But I'm looking at the Austria squad. There's 12 Bundesliga players in there. I mean, that's pretty good strength in depth, including David Alaba, Sabitzer, who's been mentioned, Arnautovic if he plays. I mean, there's a very, very good attack there. Northern Ireland, I mean, McGuinness, he's playing up front for Bolton, towards, in the Championship, struggling Championship side. Will Grigg in and out of the Wigan side. I mean, you compare the quality of the two teams, and I just think there's no comparison really, and that's why I would go towards strong Austria. So Austria, half-time, full-time, 13-10 for me.
What do you think, Milts?
I'm going for Austria to win 1-0 actually. We mentioned Northern Ireland's lack of goals and haven't scored in their last 4 away games. And Austria, a few years ago, were the kind of party boys of international football. You'd always be wanting to back overs in their games. But they seem to have tightened up a lot at the back. Only in 1 of their last 7 have both teams scored. So I think they should be able to snuff out a limited Northern Ireland attacking threat. And Northern Ireland never make it easy for their opponents. But yeah, 1-0 home win.
Good stuff. Right, let's move on to Saturday, Group A1. Now we've got Netherlands versus Germany. What do you think, Jason?
Netherlands 5-2, draw 5-2, and Germany evens. For me, Netherlands, there's still sorting things out there. Ronald Koeman's a good manager that they've got in, and they lost 2-1 away to France last time out. That was the French homecoming after the World Cup. But Holland do have some good players. Van Dijk at the back, obviously. Depay, he's doing very well at Lyon since he left United, 25 goals in 54 matches. But I still think Germany, just on the back of a poor World Cup, have a point to prove. Again, they've very good players in the squad. Manuel Neuer back in the goal as well is a big help to them. So I'd be looking at Germany at the prices. I'd back them at evens just to get a win. And Timo Werner up top is about 92 for first goal score. He scored 2 last weekend as well. Had a poor World Cup, but Thomas Muller isn't scoring as many goals as he used to for Germany. Marco Reus isn't included either, so therefore I think Werner at 9-2 is a fair bet for first goal score.
Tempted in by that evens, Dan, about the Germans?
Yeah, I think evens is a good bet on Germany. That would be my selection. I think Holland are slowly improving, but they're coming from a very low base. I mean, they'd fallen such a long way.
Where are they now for you, the Netherlands? Because they're...
I wouldn't have them in
the poor side.
Yeah, I wouldn't have them in the top bunch of European nations. I wouldn't see them as contenders yet for a major trophy. Put it that way. I think they are getting to the level where they're good enough to qualify again for a major tournament. But that's got to be their next step because they've missed out in the last 2 major tournaments. So that's the better side than England. No. I mean England you know, although they had a very good draw at the World Cup, they've still reached the World Cup semi-finals as opposed to a team that hasn't even qualified for the last two. So, no, I think they've got quite a bit still to prove. Germany, I think they're looking to prove at the moment that Lowe is looking for performances to just solidify his position. I watched their 0-0 against France. They were the dominant team, played at a very high tempo for a friendly Germany. They're really on a mission, I think, to go again after that poor World Cup, and I think they'll win this game.
Evans, you like the sound of that, Milks?
Yeah, if I was betting on the match betting, yeah, I think that's a fair price for Germany. I actually like the look of both teams to score in this one. I think Holland have been scoring goals fairly consistently. Obviously got a long way to go before they're the complete package, but they've failed to score in only 2 of their last 16. That was against France and England. And actually that 0-0 draw with France for Germany was their first clean sheet in 10 games. So yeah, I think this could be an entertaining one. But yeah, Germany have got so much to prove, haven't they? And obviously after keeping faith with Lowe, there's you know, the manager and the players all have plenty to prove after that disastrous World Cup.
Another strong vote for Germany. They're also on Saturday. We've got Ireland at home to Denmark. And how do you see that one going, Jason?
Yeah, Ireland 2-1, the draw 2-1, and Denmark 6-4. Ireland, look, we've had a couple of bad results recently. Denmark, obviously, in the World Cup playoffs, did a job on us 5-1. Wales bet us 4-0 last time out in the Nations League. But what did a lot of damage in that 5-1 for Denmark against us was Christian Eriksen, who's missing from this game. Martin O'Neill, you know, he's had quite a decent competitive record with Ireland, and we do still have some good players there. We've a decent keeper in Randolph, Shane Duffy at the back, Doherty coming in for Wolves as well, hopefully gets a run. So I think defensively Ireland, we're still a decent side, and I think Denmark won't score many goals without Eriksen, although they're very good. Poulsen there again for Leipzig, 4 goals in 6 games, and Sisto, who plays with Celta Vigo, always looks a threat as well. But for me, looking at the two teams and their playing styles, I think it's hard to look beyond the draw. If you're looking for a goal scorer bet, Shane Long it's doubtful with his injuries, but he's had a poor record. He's only 2 goals in his last 61 appearances for club and country.
Wow. That
equates, now it's, if you were to break it down by minutes, it's a goal every 17.5 games for the minute he's played. So have a look at Shane Duffy instead. He's got 2 goals for Brighton this season already, scored 2 goals for Ireland. He's a massive threat. He's a giant of a man. He's a massive threat on set pieces. So if there is going to be a goal, just back him for the first goal scored there, about 25-1. But I think we could be looking at a draw here.
Duffy, the giant, at 25-1. What do we think, Dan? No Eriksen.
Yeah, I always edge towards the draw when there's, you know, there's 2 teams that I just see a lack of goals, and this is what I see here as well. I mean, Shane Long has been mentioned. You know, he's actually by far the top scorer in Ireland's squad, and you know the run of form he's in at the moment, you know, you wouldn't really fancy him to score. So yeah, there's a threat from set pieces from Ireland, but Denmark are quite a big side as well. So you think they'd be, you know, quite well set there with like the likes of Christensen, the Chelsea centre back, to negate that. I think the Danish threat with Eriksen being out is massively reduced as well. Yusuf Poulsen's their top scorer in their squad. He's got 5 goals. You know, so you're struggling to see where the goals are coming from. I'm going to say low scoring game. Therefore, the draw is a big runner.
What about yourself, Milk?
Yeah, I can't see past the draw really. I mean, you know, you talk about the luck of the Irish. If they play Denmark without Eriksen and then Wales without Gareth Bale, then they're in business, aren't they? And yeah, Ireland just find it hard to win games. 4 in their last 16, I think they've won. And Denmark, as we saw at the World Cup, without Eriksen, they're a pretty pedestrian side.
Okay. Be interesting to see if Ireland can overturn that 5-1 deficit from the last time those two met. Right, we're going to head for a quick break, but do stay with us because we've got a few more games to look at, as well, of course, the lads' best bets this week.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Welcome back to this week's Racing Post Football Postcast. Dave Clark from the Racing Post, joined by colleagues James Milton and Dan Charles. We've also got Jason Murphy on the line from Paddy Power. Now, Sunday onwards, we're going to look at a few games on the international scene. First up, I know you've got prices for Spain at home to England in that big Group A4 clash in the Nations League. What prices have you got there then for us, Jason?
Yeah, currently Spain 8-11, the draw 13-5, and England 10-3. Obviously, it's all dependent on how this result between England and Croatia goes. But again, 8-11 to me already looks a little bit big, regardless of England's result against Croatia. If England were to lose to Croatia or not win, that means they haven't won in 4 games, and Gareth Southgate's under a bit of pressure there, especially with the whole relegation element as well that comes into this. But having said all that, I'd still like to see him throw in a few youngsters. Maddison's been doing very well for Leicester. Let's have a look at Sancho now that he's in the squad. Having said that, if England do fail to get a result against Croatia, because they won't top the group.
England could be relegated. That sounds a bit strange to say that, but it could be on the cards, Dan.
Could be. I just think if England don't win against Croatia, then I think he might actually use a lot of the fringe players. If they beat Croatia, there is still a chance, mathematically, that England could actually threaten to top the group. So if that's the case, he's going to have to go strong again, I think, if he wins the Croatia game. But either way, if he goes with the same players, they're playing twice in 4 days. There's going to be a fatigue element there anyway. And if he doesn't, then the backup players, a lot of them being youngsters, are not going to be as strong. Spain have got an easier build-up. Playing Wales a day before England play Croatia, so there's an extra day to prepare, and they'll probably make a lot of changes, I would imagine, with a Wales game being a friendly. So Spain are going to be full strength. England either full strength and tired, or not at full strength. So Spain for me.
So international break, 2 games in 4 days. There we go. Milts, where do you see Spain, England?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see Spain going off much bigger than that 8-11. So it looks a decent price, really. I think they, in terms of quality, they have got the edge. And that 8-11 home win sounds good to me.
That game's on Monday. We'll move on to Tuesday. Absolute belter, France at home to Germany in Group A1. And give us a show there and your thoughts, please, Jason.
Yeah, World Cup champions France 10-11, draw 13-5, and Germany 5-2. Again, depends on the result between Germany and Holland, but regardless of the outcome of it, this will still be a competitive match. Germany, like I said, coming off the back of the World Cup, as discussed earlier, will be looking for a result. Whereas France, as world champions, they're at home in front of their own fans. They'll want to get a result as well. At the prices, I'd probably take France, barring Germany put in a real good performance against Holland.
What do you think, Milts?
I think over 2.5 goals is the way to go here. I mentioned Germany's lack of clean sheets recently, and France's attack just got better and better as the World Cup went on. So much attacking talent at their disposal, so I think it should be a cracker.
Cracker for you as well, Dan, on the cards?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good game. The 0-0 actually was a decent game. Although it was a 0-0, Germany, as I mentioned earlier, played with a lot of intensity in that game. France were kind of coming back from the World Cup and didn't seem entirely focused. I thought they were lucky to draw that game. I fancy Germany draw no bet here at 7-4. Quick thing to mention on the French side of things, no Umtiti, who's an important defender for them. You've got the likes of Kurt Zuma in the squad and Sacco from Palace. I'm not convinced necessarily by either at this kind of level. It shows that the backup French defenders are not so great. So I think Germany are a bet here.
Right, okay, interesting. Could be a fruitful international break for the Germans. Also on Tuesday, I'm not sure if we've got prices for this one, but we'll talk about it anyway because it's a big game. Ireland versus Wales, Jason. Of course, all the talk is going to be whether Gareth Bale will be fit or not for this one.
Yeah, we've no prices up yet because it's massively dependent on Ireland's result against Denmark. I can't see Bale. Well, it looks like he's out for the Spain game from what I've heard, so he should be fit for next week. And even if Ireland win or lose, it's also massively dependent on whether Bale steps on the pitch or not. But again, for the same reasons, Ireland against Denmark, you're talking about playing styles. I think Ireland were very poor away to Wales last time out. I can't see us being that poor. We should be more solid defensively. So again, I'd be looking at a low-scoring game there, and possibly the draw if the price was right.
Never got no prices, lads, but how do we see that one shaping up? If Gareth Bale's back, then Wales a different team.
Yeah, and I think Giggsy says he's about 50-50 to feature, but we'll have to see. I don't know. I think as Jason says, I think Ireland will have been stung by that away defeat, and maybe under 2.5 goals, even if Bale is back, and obviously that will bump up the price a little bit. I think it could be a tight one. I
was just wanted to say there about Shane Long as well. I thought it was a bit harsh maybe on him earlier. He did score, like Ireland's, if you look at Ireland's record of goals, we've Houghton against England, we've McAteer against Holland and Shane Long against Germany. I wouldn't be surprised if he did a deal with the devil that he would score that winner against Germany in a European qualifier for us to win 1-0 and then never have a shooting boot again. But to be honest, Shane Long, you know, he'll never have to buy a drink in Ireland again after that goal. But hopefully he gets his shooting boots back soon.
Go on, Dan, what was you going to say about this game?
Oh, quite simple, really. If Gareth Bale starts, back Wales, draw no bet, I can't see him losing. Then if he doesn't start, I'd say back the draw. I can't see many goals. Lots
of draws, maybe that might float your boat. Maybe a multi on the draws for the international break. Right now, then, let's move on to the lads' best bets this week.
This will not be beaten.
James Mills for the Racing Post, you have the floor.
I'm not distracted by the glitz and glamour of the Nations League. I'm going for the bottom of the table clash in League One. Plymouth travel to Oxford, and I think Plymouth at 7-4 draw no bet are a really big price here. Oxford have lost 5 of their 6 home games. Plymouth have been pretty competitive in recent weeks, lost narrowly to Blackpool, Charlton, Doncaster, drew with Barnsley, who are going really well, and then beat Wimbledon at home last time out. So I think the market probably not showing Plymouth quite enough respect.
To draw no bet there for you, Dan?
I'm going to League Two. Leaders Lincoln in action at Port Vale. I think Lincoln here at 11-10 are a really good bet to win away. 9 wins out of 12 in the league this season. Port Vale lost the last 2 games, 2-0 at home to MK Dons and lost 2-0 at struggling Grimsby last time. They've got a few injuries, Port Vale, at the moment, and I think they'll struggle against the league leaders.
OK, so we've got Plymouth, draw no bet, Lincoln as well on their travels. Complete the treble for us, please, Jason.
Yeah, I'm the same as the boys. I wasn't distracted with UEFA Nations League either, and I was actually tipping up Lincoln as well. I was even going to say for an extra bit more juice, Lincoln to win to 0. Port Vale have only scored 11 goals in 12 games, whereas Lincoln have the best defensive record in the league. Port Vale's main player, Tom Pope, hasn't scored in 5 games. So Lincoln to win to 0 if you wanted a bit more juice. The boys in the office were tipping up Fleetwood at home to Shrewsbury if you want a different treble. Ched Evans up top, he's a championship player playing in League One. They won 4-0 last time out at Doncaster, and Shrewsbury obviously isn't the same Shrewsbury from last season with their manager and a couple of other players gone on to Ipswich as well. So Fleetwood at home to Shrewsbury if you wanted a treble.
Marvellous. So the lads going their best bets on the domestic scene. But I thank you all for your time. James Milton, Dan Charles from the Racing Post, and Jason Murphy on the line from our friends at Paddy Power. If you do enjoy watching or listening to these postcasts, do rate, review and subscribe on iTunes.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.